Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So Teofimo Lopez says that he recently made Devin Haney a good, reasonable offer to fight him, but Devin Haney has not responded. He said, "I waited a week for Team Haney to respond and they never did. We offered them a good, reasonable offer of $2.4 million guaranteed and a 55-45 split on pay-per-view at the Crypto Arena in Los Angeles. You wasted my time. You wasted my time too many times. I had to air it out. I was told to stay radio silent while we were trying to negotiate, but I had to." He then suggested he might extend an olive branch to Ryan Garcia instead. He said, "Right now, Ryan does not have a fight. He's in the same kind of predicament I'm in. I'll call Oscar later to see what's up. Everything has to make sense. It can't be wishful thinking and let's just make a fight. We have to give them something to be interested in. I try to play it as fair as best I can as the king of the division at 140 pounds. Crawford, stop being a bitch, yo, and make the fight at 154 pounds. Come on, take this young kid. Get me out of the ring. Get me out and put me in a stretcher. Everybody just be talking, and to everybody, stop ducking Teofimo. Come on, he always fights the best. Where are you guys at? We'll see who wants it. But literally, off all of them." All right, so those are the words of Teofimo Lopez. So let's just unpack this. First of all, the offer that he says he made to Devin Haney, a $2.4 million guarantee and a 55-45 split, presumably the 55 going to Teo. If that's true, it sounds like a very reasonable offer. In my estimation, Teofimo Lopez is a bigger star than Devin Haney. And Haney's brand has definitely suffered since that controversial fight with Ryan Garcia. Obviously, the original result was reversed due to Ryan Garcia failing a PED test, but the damage to Haney's reputation, as far as I can tell from the way the fans are talking about him, has not been reversed. And so taking all that into account, again, I think 55-45 in Lopez's favor is very reasonable. And for those of you who are unaware how these things work, in America, the standard pay-per-view deal that fighters make is they get a relatively small guarantee. In this case, for Haney, it would be $2.4 million. Then they get a percentage of the pay-per-view revenue on top. And so as long as the show sells fairly well, the money they get from their pay-per-view split will be many times more than their baseline guarantee. I say that just in case anyone's thinking that $2.4 million is a derisory offer. That's just the baseline that Haney's being offered, according to Teofimo Lopez. And so if this information is accurate and Haney really has just gone silent and he's not responding, then what does that tell us? Well, it either tells us that Devin Haney thinks he's worth far more than he actually is and hasn't taken into account how much his brand has suffered from the Ryan Garcia fight, or it tells us that Devin Haney is still not in the right headspace to return to the ring, at least against Teofimo Lopez. And so I have to ask the question, has Devin Haney been traumatized by the Ryan Garcia fight? Yes, we know that Ryan Garcia tested positive for a banned substance afterwards. We know that Ryan Garcia came in over the limit, but that doesn't take away the humiliating experience that Devin Haney went through that night. And it was terribly humiliating. He was dropped multiple times. He was hurt multiple times. He was nearly knocked out in front of thousands of people. His whole perception of himself was turned upside down. And you never know how a fighter's going to respond to that. There's also the fact that Devin Haney, very strangely, has been getting savaged by the fans when he actually didn't do anything wrong. I know Devin Haney said certain things in the past that people don't like, but in the Ryan Garcia fight specifically, in no way was he a guilty party. He was the victim. And I suspect that Devin Haney's struggling to deal with that psychologically as well. Long story short, I think Devin Haney's confidence has been massively affected by that Ryan Garcia fight. And I think that's largely the reason why he's decided to sue Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney officially is still 31-0, 15 KOs, because the Ryan Garcia fight was changed to a no contest. But I suspect that Devin Haney deep down feels like he has lost because he did lose on the night, right? The result being changed after the fact, as I said earlier on, it doesn't reverse the experience he went through. It doesn't reverse the trauma he went through, the humiliation. Haney actually reached out to the WBC, the sanctioning body that he's a champion with, and told them that he's going to be out of the ring for a while. And so they made him champion in recess as a result. Devin Haney's been seen at multiple boxing events since that Ryan Garcia loss, and he looks very heavy. He doesn't look like he's ready to step back in the ring anytime soon. I know there was the Sandor Martin fight that would have been a mandatory for him, but when Matchroom refused to bid on it, Haney decided not to go through with it. Perhaps that's a measure of how, again, insecure he's feeling. Maybe he felt safe with Matchroom. The Ryan Garcia fight obviously was not a Matchroom event, and Haney and Eddie Hearn have subsequently kind of fallen out as a result of Matchroom not bidding on the Sandor Martin fight. So anyway, that's Devin Haney, and that's my take on him at this particular juncture. As for Teofimo Lopez, he's been officially undefeated since he moved up to 140 pounds. His sole loss was back down at 135 pounds to George Kambosos. Now, I say he's been officially undefeated at 140 pounds, but there are many people that feel that he was fortunate to get the decision over Sandor Martin back in 2022. And there are even some people who think that Jermaine Ortiz was unfortunate not to get the decision over Teofimo Lopez earlier on this year. So Lopez definitely blows hot and cold. His last really impressive performance was over Josh Taylor in 2023. And of course, the big signature win of his career was against Vasyl Lomachenko. That was also at 135. Some people are not entirely convinced by Teofimo Lopez at 140 pounds yet. They don't think he carries the same type of power, or perhaps a more accurate way to describe it would be his power doesn't have the same effect on 140 pounders that it had on 135 pounders. That's how many people see it. I'm not saying I necessarily agree. So when Teo's talking about taking on the likes of Terence Crawford at 154 pounds, I'm skeptical of his chances, very skeptical. Not that Crawford would necessarily be interested, but if he was, I'd be backing Crawford heavily in that fight. And as for Ryan Garcia, well, his ban's nearly up. Teofimo Lopez says he's going to reach out to Oscar De La Hoya, and I'm glad that Teofimo Lopez is being proactive now. Maybe he is looking at what's going on in Saudi Arabia and all the money these fighters are making over there, and he feels like he's missing out. Because up until this point, Teofimo Lopez has been very much a diva, similar to Tank Davis. He expects everyone to come to him and grovel at his feet and beg for a fight. But Ryan Garcia has done good numbers in the past. He's a controversial character, and that sells. He's a DAZN fighter, obviously, and there's every chance that he could get an opportunity to fight in Saudi Arabia for big money. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm glad that Teofimo Lopez is being proactive, calling people out, ostensibly engaging in negotiations. Let's hope that they can get the Ryan Garcia fight on whenever Garcia's ban is up. I know Garcia's got some issues with Oscar De La Hoya, but he's had issues with De La Hoya many times in the past as well. Hopefully they can be worked out so we can see Ryan Garcia in some interesting fights. Some people think that Garcia is going to come straight back and rematch Devin Haney. I guess that's possible. But a more interesting fight for me would be Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also check out my Patreon content. I just uploaded this film study of Julian Jackson and Gerald McClellan, two of the hardest punching middleweights of all time. I go through a number of their fights in the lead up to their historic first meeting, as well as analyzing footage of the actual meeting itself, which ended in brutal fashion. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.